This is Larry Starr, Hall of Fame class of 1994. Larry, how did you first get involved with the OATA?
Mainly through my mentors, Al Hart and Ken Wolford, who were involved with it. It was really tough being a professional baseball with the travel, being gone so much, and the fact that we really didn't have any off days. Off days in professional baseball are basically doing more treatments or taking players to doctors and so forth. So it was difficult to go to meetings and so forth. I was able to go to GLADA a number of times because it was in right before I went to spring training, I believe. But through that uh, relationship with those guys, I was able to get involved with the OTA and really got more involved after I got a professional baseball, even though I was living in Florida. For the last 10 or 12 years, I've made it back for every OTA meeting, even when I was in Florida, because I had developed a really big relationship with many people in the OTA, including Jerry Whetstone, and of course Ken Wolford was in the Hall of Fame. Ken Rushi was in the Hall of Fame. Al Hart, my mentor, and then also Skip Vosker and Dale Dugan through the years, Bill Jones, all these gentlemen that I've known all through the years, and I was really surprised when the OETA said I was going to go into the Hall of Fame because I had removed myself and gone to Florida. I was in District 9 then, but now, but I'm honored by it, and I'm just impressed the way the organization has continued to grow. Their advocacy and their work in legislation and so forth is really impressive, and I'm just proud to still be a member of it.
What's the biggest change you've seen in athletic training?
I think rehabilitation by far. When I first got into athletic training, one of the things we didn't do very much of was surgical, especially upper extremity surgery, shoulder and elbow. My first 15 years in the big leagues with the Reds, I had one surgery, and that was a knee surgery on Ken Griffey Sr. But since then, when Tommy John and ACLs and then the various shoulder surgeries that were perfected by Frank Jobe and Jimmy Andrews and those people, that made our job more diverse, and then we had to develop the rehabilitation programs for those post-surgical cases, and so that's definitely, and we basically are able to reconstruct players now. When I first got into baseball in the 70s, if a player blew his elbow out, there wasn't much you did. And now we do reconstruction. When he blew his shoulder out, we didn't know much about the labrum. We didn't know much about the rotator cuff. As we got educated on that and surgical procedures and rehabilitation programs developed, those players now are still pitching and playing in the big leagues.
If you could change one thing in athletic training, what would it be?
Improve salaries. I think we're still grossly underpaid, undervalued as healthcare professionals. I think, unfortunately, some of it's our own fault. Is that one of the things athletic trainers are very poor at is patting themselves on the back and being able to, show people their value and their importance. We're a group of men and women that want to get it done, and if there's a problem, we find a way to get that to happen. And unfortunately, that's transgressed into not being paid at the level that we should be paid as healthcare professionals that are highly educated and highly skilled. So I would hope that would be a focus still on the NATA and all the state associations to improve salaries and improve benefits for athletic trainers.
Larry, what are some of your favorite memories from being involved in the OATA?
I'll be honest with you, it's coming back each year. Like I said before, I've had so many friendships that I've formed over the years, and to be able to come back to the meetings, and it's one of the reasons I do it, to be able to talk to the guys, and guys that have been around a long time, and Dale Googans and Skip Fossler and Jerry Whetstone and Bill Jones and guys that I was involved with in the Mid-American Conference, when I was a student and then an assistant trainer at High University. So just coming back and reliving those moments, and also seeing the young bloods that are coming into the association. I'm so impressed with the administration um, of the OTA and how they have become very proactive in legislation, in concussion, in the various things that they're involved in. It's just very impressive because I am involved in the Athletic Trainers Association of Florida, ATAF, and that's a new organization, and I really am impressed with what the OATA does, and really honored to be still a part of it because of the leadership and all the things that they have done over the years.
What does it mean to be an A athletic trainer to you?
I think the main thing it means is that I'm there and entrusted by a group of men and women that brings a lot of responsibility. One of the things that I really try to that I learned very early from the physicians I work with and other athletic trainers that would mentor me was that my most important goal as an athletic trainer is to develop trust between me and that individual that I'm providing health care to. And I do that by saying to myself, my most important thing is what's the best thing for him or her, Pete Rose. Let's use him as an example. Is a professional baseball player, does that come into play? Yeah, it comes into play, but not as important as the person himself. And the fact that he's a professional baseball player with Cincinnati Reds, yeah, that'll come into play because if he's not playing, someone's going to know why. But my main goal is that for that player to know that whatever I tell him, whatever I suggest that he should do with this injury is in his best interest. And as long as he knows that and feels that, then I have his trust, and I think we can give him the effective health care that he needs.
How did you get interested in athletic training?
My brother. My big brother, in the summer of 1960, took the Kramer's correspondence course, which was a 6 weeks course. They sent you this little booklet, and then they sent you lessons, and then they took a test at the end. And everything my big brother did, I did. He went on in a different direction. He went on in the business world with Xerox. But when I took that course, and then I was a so-called student trainer, which is politically incorrect now, an athletic training student, in high school, and then met Al Hart at High University. Once visiting a High University and seeing what Al Hart did and what his relationship was with players, and I said, this is what I want to be. And by my junior year, between my junior and senior year, I already was the assistant athletic trainer at High University, and then went on as a full-time assistant, and then later in professional baseball and so forth.
Larry, do you have any pearls of wisdom for younger members?
I'd go back to the trust issue with athletes and with any client, whatever venue you're in, is that you develop a relationship with the athlete that is built on trust. And as long as the athlete knows that what you're saying to him is in his or her best interests, I think you are able to give effective health care and able to able to have the player do everything he or she needs to do in order to get to where they need to be to get back on the field or back on the court. I will say this: if you want to be an athletic trainer, you better have some energy. You better have some tremendous passion, and you better want to see somebody succeed. And if you have those three qualities, coupled with knowledge and skills, It's a great profession. I mean, I just got my 50-year pin from Jim Thornton, president of the NTA, and I don't feel that old, but I joined the NTA in 1965, so this is my 50th year that I've been a member of the NTA, and it's been a great life for me. I mean, I was maybe at the right place at the right time. I will say this: being in the right place at the right time is very important, and that's some of the luck of the game, so to speak. But you got to be prepared for that. When the Cincinnati Reds called me and said we'd like you to interview for the Cincinnati Reds job, I said to myself, um, "Am I ready for this?" I'm 24 years old. I've never been in professional sports. I've never been in professional baseball. And Bill Hess, the head football coach at Ohio University at the time, told me, he said, "What are you afraid of? Why wouldn't you interview for this job? Why wouldn't you, if you're offered it, take it? Because number one, you're going to be one of 26 people in the world. There's only 26 head athletic trainers at that time in professional baseball. It's 30 now. Number two, you got a master's degree. You're married, but you have no kids at that time. So what if it doesn't work out? Come back to Ohio University, or come back to teach school someplace, or whatever you want to do. Don't be afraid of those opportunities. And as it worked out, I took it the first year thinking, well, I'll try it 1 year and see what happens. And 30 years later, I was still in it. So, um, you got to work hard. I learned so much by just observing, and I think that's very important in our profession.
And finally, mm, what is a quote or a phrase that you've been known to say over the years?
I took 3 years of Latin in high school, thinking I was going to go into either be a doctor or a physical therapist, and I came very close with the athletic trainer, if not maybe better. I think I'm better as an athletic trainer than I would have been at either of those other two. And my Latin teacher gave us this quote: "Vini, vici, vengi," which is a Latin that means "I came, I saw, I conquered." The fact that I'm 5'4" and about 128 pounds uh, is a little bit of a challenge. Actually, when I interviewed the Cincinnati Reds, they told me, we're very impressed with your credentials, your skills, and your knowledge, and so forth, but we're a little concerned about your physical stature and your youthful appearance. Well, my mom is 4'11", my dad's 5'7". I came out at 5'5", not quite. Between me and Bobby Barton, we're about the two smallest men in the NATA probably. But anyhow, I told him, I said, look, if you think that an athletic trainer is effective because he intimidates his athletes, I think you're wrong. I think it's built on trust and your knowledge of how you can help that player. So those three words, I came, I saw, I conquered, kind of been my mantra, and has steadied me pretty well.
Well, thank you, Larry, for your time and your wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you.